everybody, happy Monday and welcome to our Tech Power Hour. We are going to spend some time in Dotloop this afternoon, and I'll kind of show you some tips and tricks that you might not be aware of, sort of that next level. We're not going to talk about creating a loop or getting signatures, but we're going to talk about staying organized, maybe some things that will help you in your business as you work in the Dotloop system. So with that, a couple quick housekeeping things. Unless we get tons and tons of questions, I doubt we will go the full hour. We'll probably spend about 30 minutes together today. So hopefully that gives you some time back in your afternoon. And then all of the attendees on the call are muted. So go ahead and locate the question pane so you can type in you may have as we are going along. Victoria Thomas is also on the call with us today, and she will be monitoring those questions. So with that, let's hop right into it. So you guys should be able to see my screen, and this is just sort of my main page where my loops are. First, I want to show you a couple things that you can do to sort of personalize your account in your settings section. So I am up here in my, you might have your picture or your name, or it might say default. I just clicked on that little drop down, and I'm going to go into my account first. Okay, and then from here, this may look somewhat familiar when you are a brand new Dotloop user. This is where we come to set up information like your license number and your office identification code, your NRDS ID, stuff like that. But I just did want to remind you that this is where you can add a photo. This is where I've got my photo. You can always come in here and change your password if you need to for any reason. And you can also change your email address. So just know that that's available to you in this account settings section. The next place I wanted to show you really quickly was your notification settings. So under your profiles, you guys probably only have one profile. And down there, you can turn on or off notifications. So again, this is one of those things we do when we first set up your Dotloop account. We sort of give you our suggested notifications. But if you feel like you're being over or under notified in any way, just know that you can come in here and make some adjustments. Okay. All right, the next one I think you guys are going to love. It's under document preferences. A lot of agents sometimes say they don't like the size of the font, or they would prefer the font be in blue instead of black on their documents. This is where you can make any appropriate changes. You can even change the default font if you want, but it just kind of gives you an idea of what that's going to look like in your documents. You can by default make things bold if you want, however you want to do it. Okay. So just know that you can come in here and make any of those adjustments. And that was under document preferences. All right, any questions about document preferences or account setup before we move on into our loops?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Victoria. All right, so to get back to your loops, you can either click on the Talk to Tucker logo or the little like smiley face that will take you to your loops. And here is a list of all of my particular loops. Don't forget, you can archive anything that you are no longer needing. So maybe a property that you thought your clients were going to write an offer on, or maybe they did and they didn't get it or whatever. You can always come in here and archive that. I did that by just clicking on the button that said archive. And the next time I refresh my screen, those two archived loops should go away. Yep, bye-bye. And then if you ever need to show your archived loops, you can go under your filters and show either only archived or all, and that will show you anything that you maybe have previously archived. All right, so let's hop right into a loop. I created this one this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and click on it to kind of go in there, and I'll show you a couple really cool power tips. This is a newer feature. I think this rolled out, gosh, early last week or maybe the week before. Time is flying, but you now have the option to get earnest money electronically through Earnest. And up here at the top, under sort of your icons there in the gray, is the send earnest request. And this will automatically take you to the Earnest. I call it an app. It's really not an app. It's almost like a website instead. But Earnest is that awesome platform that allows you to request earnest money if you are the listing agent, or have your buyer clients electronically send earnest money if you are the buyer's agent. So I'm not going to walk you through it step by step right now, but just know that that is now integrated into Dotloop, which is so awesome. Before, you'd have to open a new window and go ahead and go through the steps, but you can't screw up Earnest. It's a really great way to request or pay earnest money electronically, whether it's to FC Tucker or it's to another brokerage, but it's right built into Dotloop, which is super duper awesome. So that is Earnest. The other thing that I so love right within Dotloop that I think makes it really simple is the ability to add or archive folders. So you are probably familiar with this view where we have these folder names in orange, and then with all of the black documents within them that you will likely need for the transaction. Of course, you may have a reason to add additional folders throughout the process. Maybe this is my listing and I get multiple offers and I want to keep each of those offers separate in separate folders. I can do that right here. So this add folder button is available in any loop. And once you click on it, it just allows you to rename it and then add your appropriate documents. So in this case, maybe my first offer came in, it's in my email inbox. I can click on that email button, copy that email address to my clipboard, and then hop back into my email account and forward whatever attachment that was right into my loop. I'll show you how to do that really quickly. I think I have an attachment right here. Oops. I want to forward, not reply. And because I copied that long, complicated email address, I just pasted it in my to space. And now what's going to happen is it's going to send this particular attachment to that new loop folder. I don't know if you've ever had transactions with Tom Williams. He is awesome. When I hop back into my loop, it does take a minute on the emailed items, so it's not quite there yet in that folder, but if I keep refreshing, it is going to show up. So I love using that email option, like in that very instance where maybe I have an inspection response in my inbox, or a purchase agreement, or a pre-approval letter, something like that. That works really well to forward directly into the loop folder. The only times I would maybe caution you against using that option is if it's like an inspection report or some like really, really hefty document. Okay, there it is, just showed up. So it took, I don't know, a minute or so for that to show up. But the larger the documents, the longer it is going to take for that to show up. So in those cases, you might want to download them and then upload them. And of course, you just do that. Instead of using the email option, you would just browse to wherever you saved that file on your desktop or in Google Drive. Okay, so that is creating folders. Now, say, for example, I get multiple offers and this particular one doesn't go anywhere. We didn't choose it. You probably want to get that darn thing out of your view, because the offer that you are working with, you need to focus on that. So what you can do in that case is just archive. You can archive documents, you can archive whole folders, but then it just kind of takes it out of sight, out of mind. But if you ever needed to go back to it for any reason, oh shoot, I archived the wrong thing, or the offer that we accepted fell through, let's call those buyer's agents from the offers we didn't accept and see if their folks are still looking. If you ever need to do that, now that I have something archived, this show archived button pops up and I can click on that and there it is, he's back. Okay, I wanted to show you another really great tool that you can do right within a loop of Dotloop, which is combining documents, splitting documents, and rotating documents. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a document from my downloads. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Here's a whole bunch of junk. Okay, so that's just showing you really quickly how to locate a document from your computer or your downloads, your desktop, whatever, and then upload it into the loop. Okay, so here's the one I just uploaded. And it's got all kinds of stuff. I'm going to kind of scroll through quickly, but here's my purchase agreement. Beyond that, I've got an as-is addendum. I've got a agreement regarding personal property, a couple counter offers, et cetera, et cetera. There may be a reason that I don't want all of these combined. Like maybe I only need to get a signature on one or two of the documents, so I need to split those apart. So from within the document, under File, there is this option for splitting. And then you basically tell Dotloop how many documents am I creating from this original with all the junk I don't need. So you kind of do have to know. It's a little hard, I've found, to like be splitting it while you're in the document. So sometimes I just make a quick, scratch note of, hey, it's the purchase agreement, then it's that as-is addendum, and that's all I need maybe, and a counter offer. So I kind of know what documents I'm creating from this big one. And then you just rename them and tell the system like what pages that you need to be new documents. 8, I think. And you do have to account for every page. So like, for example, I was just going to try to get rid of like pages 10, 11, and 12. Maybe I don't need them for whatever reason. It doesn't let you do that. So it's like only allowing me to make this as-is addendum pages 8 through 12. So maybe in that case, I'm like, well, some of those pages were junk. I don't need them. Then you can come back through and make the appropriate adjustments. Okay, so I'm taking that one 12-page document and breaking it into 3 separate documents. And once I click split, you will see now in that folder, where did it go? Oh, was I in an archive? Yep, I was in an archived folder. There it is. So there's my offer one folder, and there's that newly created purchase agreement, the as-is addendum, and then that quote unquote junk document that I maybe don't need. That would be a good example of something I could maybe archive. Okay, the other thing that's really nice that you can do right from Dotloop is rotate. So I don't have an example right now in my Dotloop folder that's like scanned the wrong way, but we've all seen those lovely documents where they're scanned sideways or upside down or what have you. So same place, I'm in the document, and I'm going to go to this rotate button. And what's really nice about rotate is you can do just a specific page. So maybe if I'm on page 2 and page 2 is the only one that I need to rotate, I can just do a single page, or I can rotate the whole file. So the whole file was scanned the wrong way. Okay. And I'm going to fix it because I'm sort of anal retentive like that. It's going to drive me crazy if it's the wrong way. So again, that was under File. The other thing that I love is the opposite of splitting, which is combining. So let's say I need to get the purchase agreement and that as an addendum, maybe to my lender or to the title company. I just want to, send those over in one particular document. I can click on those. And where is combine? Is it not there any longer? Interesting. Victoria, why am I not seeing combine? Am I crazy? All right, we'll come back to that.
No, you're not crazy.
I swear. Huh. Weird. Okay, maybe that.
You might not be able to combine them in the loop. You can always download them and it'll download it as one document and then you have to re-upload it, which is kind of annoying.
I swear combine was there. I will find out. Okay, ignore me. All right, any questions over that kind of organization? Creating folders, archiving documents, splitting, rotating, any of that good stuff?
I haven't had anything come in.
Okay. One other quick thing I didn't show you guys yet is you can rename a document in two places. So I could rename, as realtors, we call the purchase agreement the PA, but that doesn't really mean much to our client. So maybe I want to rename that to purchase agreement instead of just PA. I can do that by clicking on the three dots and click on rename from there, and it drops my little cursor in that section and I can rename it. Or I love this one, from within the document, you can also rename, and you can do that by just clicking up in the top where the name is. And then hit enter. Once you type out what the new name is that you want it to be, you can click enter. Okay, so that is renaming, another kind of helpful tool. One other thing that's we don't talk about too much in initial Dotloop training, but I think it's kind of helpful as you're, truly doing real estate type tasks and trying to keep yourself organized. Say I needed to download this purchase agreement and this as is addendum for my lender. Once I click on those, see how these little buttons popped up right here, and download is maybe what I need to do, or print. The thing that's kind of nice about Dotloop is it's going to download in the order that they are on your screen. So in that original case, that was the correct order. I probably would want the purchase agreement first, but just know that you can drag and drop so things are in the right order for when you go to print or when you go to download those. Okay, awesome. I'm going to move on to templates. So templates is up here at the top. It's sort of like two pieces of paper with like a little equals sign. So click on that. And then little known fact, in addition to all of the FC Tucker and IAR libraries where all of our state and Tucker specific documents live, you also have what's called an inbox. So you can send any document to your own personal Dotloop email address and it will land in your inbox. And I just highlighted mine. So mine is christy.kolawski2@upload.dotloop.com. So that's my own personal Dotloop inbox. And where those documents go is in this templates section. And why is this helpful for you? You can create your own documents like in Google Docs or something like that, and then upload it here. So if there's a specific file that you like to keep with all of your transactions, you can create that. send it to Dotloop, and even make it interactive. So I'm going to show you what an example of that might be. I have one called transaction information. And this is just kind of like a contact information checklist, so to speak, for me and maybe any other parties to this transaction. So this was just something that I created, either in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and then I sent it into my Dotloop account. What's really cool is you can add signature fields, initial fields, text fields are really great, and then tie these to your autofill. So I'm just going to drop a box here for property address. And then under that label section, you can tell Dotloop basically what kind of information needs to go in that field. And then later in your loops, it becomes fillable. So I'll add another one here. We'll add text, title company. If you wanted to give it a label now with title company, you might not. That might be more of a free form field, but you're basically dropping little information boxes into the document and then telling Dotloop what kinds of information you want to go in there. So that can be a really nice and helpful way for you to sort of customize your Dotloop experience. I'm going to save that. And then later, when I'm in a loop, I'm going to go back to that test loop that I was in. Now I might want to add that transaction information sheet to this particular transaction. I can click add documents. It was in my templates. And there it is. Okay. So that might be helpful if there are other pieces that you like to keep as part of your transaction and you would like those to be in Dotloop. I'm gonna go back into my templates for a second. You can also create, I believe your default is inbox or personal, and you can create any additional folders that you want. So I was the one that created that templates Christy, and now I'm going to create a test training, and the list can go on and on. Okay, the other one that I love that's under templates are these clauses. Clauses are basically anything that you find yourself typing over and over and over again in your listing contract, purchase agreement, whatever it happens to be. You can basically create these little shortcuts so that Dotloop makes the verbiage the same every time. So maybe you really like the verbiage that you have for, a good example is, the closing costs, how that's going to work. You could set that up so every single time you can put the same verbiage in. So the way that works is click on this new clause button, and you basically just start typing out the clause, whatever you like to say over and over and over again, type it out. You can add it, although that's going to be a really hard one for me to find because I'm not going to be able to recreate those letters. So I'm going to redo that. I'm going to do August test. Oh my goodness. And then all my junk. Okay, I'm going to add that one. So now I've created that new clause here in my clauses section. And at any point you can come back and edit these or delete them, whatever you want to do with those clauses. But let me show you how that might be applicable within a loop. So I'm going to go back into my test loop that I've been working in, and we'll put this in the listing contract. So I'm going to scroll down to where my further conditions are in the Tucker listing contract. Here they are. And I just need to type a keyword. So maybe, whatever the clause is that you want to reference. So obviously when you're filling out a purchase agreement and you're referring to closing costs, you're in the financing type section. I named my clause that I created today, sort of that August test, and there it is. And now I can save it, and that language has been dropped right into my contract. Just a quick note, remember earlier how we talked about you could sort of set your default font or font size under your account. You can also make changes sort of one-off. So because I'm clicked on that field right now, I can make appropriate changes here. So if I want to change the font, or I want to left align it versus center it, or bold it, or make it italicized, whatever, change the color. You can do a lot of that stuff right from the document. So that would be like if you're doing just stuff on certain fields that you don't want it to be like that always, you're just making those adjustments for this particular instance. Okay, so that was clauses, and then that was adjusting sort of the styling from the document. Okay. One other quick note, I find agents, even if they've been using Dotloop forever, sometimes still sort of overlook this. And so I think it's worth kind of pointing out. Be careful of your, what do I want to call this? Sort of like your permission level. Every once in a while, sometimes the permission level defaults to can edit in private. And there is really no instance that you ever want to give anyone else permission to edit your documents in private. I recently had an example where the listing agent was like, I don't understand what happened. The buyer's agent changed something on the already accepted purchase agreement. And we figured out that that was because the listing agent had given permission to edit in private. And yes, it removed signatures, but that's not great. You never really want to change an already signed document. You can always do amendments or addendums or anything like that. So just be really careful about that edit in private. 9 times out of 10, you want can sign, just a straight up, all they can do is review the document and sign on the dotted line. That's it. Can fill and sign, you would use that one if your clients need to fill out the seller's disclosure or the utility usage, a document like that where they're actually entering information. And then the final one is view only, and view only is great like if you're sending your client something in advance just to put their eyeballs on it, or you're sending it to parents of first-time home buyers or an attorney just so they can look at something, but they don't really have any action. So top 3, all good. Bottom 1, can edit in private, is bad. Okay. Boop. All right, Victoria, do we have any questions in the chat pane?
Yeah, I had a question come in about autofill. It says, how do I change the autofill? My seller has a different legal name.
Great question. Let me find my autofill. I don't think I've done any autofill yet in this one. Okay, so I'm going to go to my listing contract. And you'll fill out autofill the first time, and then you might notice that like it stops popping up, which is a good thing because we don't want to over annoy you with millions and millions of pop-ups. But from any fillable Dotloop document, this autofill button is up here at the top, and it basically like prompts it to pop back up in your face again, and then you can come in here and change any information. So, maybe you need to modify the street address or anything that you had typed into autofill. Now, if you, I'm going to add a person, and then I'll mess it up on perfect purpose. Victoria. Okay, so I'm going to add Victoria, and I'm going to intentionally spell her name wrong. And then I realize maybe she catches it or I catch it after I send it. I'm like, oh shoot, I spelled her name wrong. You can do it another number of different ways. So you can go back into autofill, and can I change her from here? Let's see.
No, I think you probably have to go down to the people.
Yep, that's the way I usually do it. Okay, so Victoria is now in my people section, like right below where my documents are. And see how I like, it's her right email address, but oh shoot, I spelled her name wrong. That's embarrassing. What you do is you click on these three little dots and edit. And then what's nice is you can just change, I can just add the letter or, save the spelling. And then when I go back into my purchase, what was I in? Listing contract. Somewhere. There it is. It updated it in that role, okay? And now it's spelled appropriately. So what some agents do when they find it to sort of be a little annoying is if they catch it in a document and they, maybe she's Victoria Thomas III, and they are changing it document specific, it's really not changing Victoria's name overall. So just make sure that you make any appropriate adjustments under your people section. If you need to change spelling of a name or modify an email address, that's a big one that happens from time to time. Okay, so that was edit. And then one other quick note, this add to my team, I'm gonna edit Victoria again, just so you can kind of see it, how your normal view is. All you ever really need, really for any party of the transaction, your clients, the other agent, the lender, title rep, whatever, all you really need is their name and their email address. And then of course, whatever role they are. I will caution you also, be very careful of this add to my team. The only reason I ever give agents to use add to my team is if they are truly adding someone that's on their real estate team to a loop, like a transaction coordinator or the buyer's, the buyer's agent on their team, not the other side, like a true team functionality. That's when you use add to my team, because that gives whoever you're adding full access to the transaction. They can add documents, they can get signatures, they can make changes, all that stuff. Use cautiously, okay? You will never use it with a client. You will never use it with the other agent. So just be really careful with that. Okay. Victoria, I'm going to share this listing contract with you just so I can show them one final thing. Let's just say that this is filled out. I know it's not. I'm not going to send it to my managers right now because they'll be annoyed. I'm going to send this to Victoria to sign. Be also really cautious of this attached PDF to email. I never use it when there is an action required. So right now I'm sending it to Victoria, my client, to sign. I don't want to do the attached PDF to email because it's confusing for Victoria. She's going to get an email with a link to sign the document, and then there's also going to be an attachment, and she might be like, am I supposed to print this? Or she might open it and be like, why can't I click and sign? It's just kind of confusing. So when there's action involved, don't use this attached PDF. Now, when it's great to use, sort of on the converse of that, is when there's no action required. So I always use attached PDF to email if I'm sending a document to the other agent, just as a, hey, here's our purchase agreement. My clients want to buy your house. There's no action. They're going to have to like set the document up on their end. Are they accepting? Are they countering? Are they rejecting? So in that case, I do like to do the attached PDF because it gives them a link to Dotloop, but I don't know if they're a Dotloop user, so that it also gives them a PDF of our signed purchase agreement in this instance. So no action required, use it. Some action required, don't use it. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, kind of a common question, sometimes it just happens. So I sent this listing contract to Victoria, and maybe she calls me and I'm like, okay, come on, Victoria, sign the dang listing contract. Let's go, let's go. The photographer's coming tomorrow. Let's roll, lady. And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I never got it, or oops, I deleted it. It's really easy to reshare. So it's telling me right now that I'm waiting on Victoria to sign, but whatever, it got lost in cyberspace. She goofed up on her end, no big deal. I just kind of hover my mouse next to that and click share again. And then if I need to, I can reshare to Victoria. It happens a lot, I've found, with like two signers, like a husband and wife, and husband signs it, but the wife doesn't, and you know, she can't find it or whatever. Just reshare it just with whoever still needs to sign, and then you're good. Okay. And then the final one I wanted to show you, this can kind of be helpful if you're trying to figure out like maybe where something is stuck in the process. You can always look at the document history. So say, for example, Victoria viewed the listing contract, but she never signed it. I would see that in here. That document history can be sort of helpful sometimes, just kind of help you figure out where something went wrong, or you could revert back to an earlier version of a document. Maybe you need to pull out that unsigned version for whatever reason, no big deal. All right, any other questions, Victoria?
Nope, I have not had anything else come in.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm just a few minutes over what I said we would be. I hope this was helpful and you guys got some, specific tips and tricks out of this session. Final thing I want to show you, I think it's always a good idea to know where your help is in Dotloop, because they are going to be your best bet. If you're in a pinch with something, they are awesome. So I'm back on my main screen. And under sort of where my photo is or where my name is, you have a help center, and I'll go there in just a second. And also this support number, so you can call them anytime if you have specific Dotloop questions or need help. And the help center is great because there is a ton of like very specific agent-centric help for Dotloop. There's even a chat bar where you can ask a specific question to someone on the other end and they will help get that answered. So speaking of help, I hope this session was helpful. Happy dot looping. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.